Joint practice was yesterday for the Chargers and the 49ers down in Los Angeles. And on today's show, I thought it would be fun. We've already discussed the ins and outs of it. So let's break down which players had the best performances and which players, well, frankly, did not. Whether that is the fault of themselves or, in a lot of these cases, no fault of their own. Unfortunately, sometimes you can't control everything, and sometimes things outside of your control can end up hurting you. Chargers Now is presented by Prize Picks. Sign up for Prize Picks with code HMA and get $150 in bonus lineups if you win your first $5 plus lineup. Before we get into that, though, I do want to start with the big news of the day. Tyler Biadasz, unfortunately, is not going to be able to give Chargers fans some good news. Now, we did put out a short earlier where we were discussing the original breaking news from Mike Garafolo. ESPN's Adam Schefter, great NFL insider, he came out with more detail on where Biadasz is at. There's damage to his ACL, and there's also some additional injuries to his knee. Right now, it seems like Biadasz has no timetable on when he's going to come back. He is out indefinitely. Fingers crossed he's going to meet with some other doctors. I hope that this doesn't end up being season-ending. We're not there yet, but it certainly doesn't seem positive. Now, take this with a grain of salt, but Dr. Jesse Morsi, or Morse, however you say his name, he went on Twitter and he gave his opinion. Now, I do say take this with a grain of salt. It's not like he's looked at the x-rays or MRIs or anything like that. He's just looking at what's being said and potentially looking at a video of the injury. He believes that it's potentially a very bad strain of that MCL. So that is something that to keep in mind when it says other injuries in there. Don't be shocked if, as more information comes out with Biadasz, that there's more ligament damage. And he gave a timetable on when Biadasz could potentially return. Again, grain of salt, just something to give you a ballpark idea of where Biadasz could be at. Now, this is a big bummer. Thankfully, the Chargers did spend a very high draft pick to go and get Jake Slaughter. So that is a good thing. You have a strong backup center. This isn't like last year where, well, let's just be honest, that center position was very, very weak. It might have been the weakest center in the National Football League. So there are some options there that are already on the team. You don't necessarily have to make a big trade, but you potentially could. We're on the road to 6K subscribers. We just need 116 people to come on in and hit that subscribe button. I think that we can get there before we go live tomorrow night. Help us out. Hit that sub button. Keep up with the Chargers all year long. So let's go through the winners first from camp, and I think that this joint practice, the easy number one winner was Justin Herbert. I mean, think about it. This kid was lighting it up yesterday in that yellow highlighter jersey, man. He was finding open receivers. He was making big plays, lots of touchdowns. Now, a couple of plays, obviously, were not perfect for Herbert. Guess what? That's the nature of the beast. That's how this whole thing works. I was very impressed with what Herbert was doing. And I believe that he is going to continue to grow as a passer, and I think he's going to continue to show everyone that he is better than he ever was before. And that's pretty darn impressive because Justin Herbert was one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League. We should all be fired up by everything that he was doing. Next, so let's talk about Omarion Hampton because the young running back certainly put some people on skates, and he showed everyone just the type of talent that he can have. Now, Mike McDaniel is known for having an offense with smaller, shiftier, speedier running backs. Not saying that Omarion Hampton isn't fast, not saying that he can't be shifty, but he's more of a power back. That's not something that you typically see in McDaniel's offense. Sounds like McDaniel is very excited to have this different style of running back. Hampton was running all over the 49ers defenders. He was very impressive from everything that I've heard, and that's why he is the number one guy on that depth chart for this running back room. Hampton is going to be kind of your main back. It's important to realize that when I say main back, that doesn't mean that he's going to get 30 touches a game. That's just not how McDaniel or really football works anymore. It is important to realize, though, that Hampton is someone that is going to be very successful for this team, and we should all be jacked up with how well he has been performing for the Chargers in camp, but more specifically against different opponents. We got more to discuss on the program today, but first, I need to let you know that today's show is made possible by SeatGeek. When it's time to get out of the house, there's not many better options right now than a ball game. And with SeatGeek being MLB's official ticket marketplace, your tickets are fully guaranteed and instantly fulfilled in your account after purchase. I was having some fun last night surfing the interweb, and I went over to SeatGeek's website, and I thought, hey, what would a Chargers ticket look like for that opening game against the Cardinals? Now, you know me. I'm always looking for the best deals possible, so I'm looking for those green dots. And if I can sit close to the action, I'm going to be pretty darn excited. Whether it's a Chargers game with a special lady friend or a Co-Wetzel concert with the boys, SeatGeek has your back. Each ticket is rated on a scale of 1 to 10, so you know you're getting a good deal. So look for the green dots. Green means good. Red means bad. And of course, I have a code for you guys. You can use code CHAT10 for 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. That's 10% off any tickets with the promo code CHAT10. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app and have the code automatically added to your account so you can use it later. Thank you so very much, SeatGeek. Brenen Thompson is another winner for me. This kid just continues to have impressive practice after impressive practice. The more and more that I look at what he's able to do, the more and more I get excited about what he is going to look like as a receiver for this Chargers team. Multiple big-time touchdowns. Rumor had it that Thompson had a couple of 50-plus yard TDs. We know after watching that game against the Texans last Thursday that he is a clear favorite of all of the quarterbacks that he's gotten to work with. Justin Herbert has been rumored of throwing to him a bunch in camp. We've seen it. It's actually not a rumor. We know that they have a really good connection there. We also know that from watching that game against the Texans that Trey Lance was constantly trying to feed him, so much so that it probably impacted Trey Lance's performance to a degree. Thompson is someone that's going to have a lot of success in McDaniel's offense simply because he is fast, and McDaniel loves to get the football to fast players. He is someone who can burn the defense deep, while also at the same time you can get a quick screen pass out to him. Let him do work. He's got great vision. He's got really good hands. Brenen Thompson continues to have winning performance after winning performance. I cannot wait to see this guy playing in games that actually count. Ladd McConkey, man, I know a lot of Charger fans are hoping that he's going to be able to return to his previous form, and it certainly sounds like after what he did in practice that he could certainly do that. Multiple big catches in the red zone, had a touchdown or two. I think the more and more that you look at Ladd McConkey, the more and more you realize that the 2025 season was a blip on the radar. The 2025 season isn't necessarily Ladd McConkey's fault. I might make the argument that that can be a fault of Roman. That could be a fault of Allen. There are a couple of different people that are going to fall into that. Also, just everyone having all the different injury issues that they had. So when I look at Ladd McConkey, I think that 24 season is more in line of what this year is going to look like. I think the joint practice really showed that that is more of what we can expect from him in the upcoming season. I think that he's a 1,000-yard receiver again. He's going to get the football in a multitude of different ways. You're going to get the ball out of Justin Herbert's hand very quickly, and then let Quentin Johnston, let Brenen Thompson, Keandre Lambert-Smith had a very good day. Trey Harris, let those guys do work. Let them get after it. So I do think that that is going to be a lot of fun. Do you feel better about the Chargers practice with San Francisco after having a day to sleep on it? I initially was really worried about the practice, not because of the performances, but because of all the injury issues. Now, obviously, we led the show with the big injury of the day, Biotish, and it certainly feels like he's going to be out for, at the very least, an extended period of time. But the more that you dive into how the rest of the team looked during practice, feels like the Chargers probably won that practice. And so that's important to remember. So do you feel better about the Chargers joint practice, yes or no? I think I feel better once you get through some of the injury news and notes. Last, let's end with a defensive player. I'm not just going to focus on the offense. Tuipulotu. Hey, guess what? If you don't know about this kid, he's really stinking good at football. Tuli had another fantastic performance, making a bunch of plays in the run game, while also getting into the backfield, having a couple of plays on Brock Purdy that may or may not have been sacks, but they certainly would have made Purdy very uncomfortable. We can see throughout his career, man, this guy gets better year after year after year. And I think that's something important to really harp on. He's going to be playing for new defensive coordinator Chris O'Leary, who's had a fantastic job of getting the best out of his edge rushers. Now, of course, you really only have 1 year to work on, but just go and look across the locker room. Dame Tucker had the best year of his college career, probably got himself drafted in the National Football League, and that is by playing in this system. I think that Tuli is going to be able to show just how explosive, how talented he is, and that is a very good thing. We're going to get to the losers now, and I want to make this very clear that we're not calling any individual player a loser. We are just simply stating the fact that, hey, you had an opportunity to really raise your stock. Certainly feels like you were not able to do that, which is unfortunate, but it is the way that the world works right now. Let's talk about the injured crew. And I'm not just talking about guys who got hurt in this practice. I am talking about guys who missed this practice to begin with. Akeem Mesidor, unfortunately, wasn't able to practice. He hasn't practiced the last handful of practices, so that's something to keep an eye on. But obviously, the big three injuries came to us from Adam Schefter. And, we're talking about Tyler Biadasz, Kyle Kennard, and Quentin Johnston missing significant time. Now, Biadasz, that is something that is going to be clearly an issue for the entire year, or for at least most of the year. When you look at Kennard and Johnston, that might just be a significant portion of practice. Yesterday might not even be an issue of an injury that's going to be long-lasting. And in fact, Quentin Johnston, the rumor is that he's not even going to miss a significant portion of time. He might even be back at practice tomorrow. Now, I do think it would be smart for the Chargers to not necessarily rush him back into practice. That could be a situation where it's like, hey, man, we're going to get you back on the field, but we're going to get you back on the field sometime next week. There's no reason to rush you for a walkthrough. You're probably not going to play in this preseason game, a game, again, that doesn't really matter for a guy like Quentin Johnston who's going to make the team. So, unfortunately, for the three guys who got injured and the guys who are already out, you don't get to go out and really rise your stock, which is a bit unfortunate. But it does seem like, at least for the most part, you were able to avoid some major catastrophe. Maybe not fully, but at least that's where you're at. We have more to discuss on the program today, but first I need to let you know that today's show is also made possible by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 sports picks app and is the best place to win cash while watching sports. With the football season right around the corner, there's no better time to cash in with our friends at Prize Picks. And I'll tell you this, the app is really easy to use. For player picks, just pick more or less on a few players' stats and lock in your lineup. That's it. Prize Picks is available in most states, including California, Texas, and Florida. One thing I love is the new social feeds feature, where you can share Prize Picks with your friends and copy lineups with a single click. You can actually follow me on the app, at BigWill7774, to see all of my lineups. I have a lineup for the football action going on later on this year. Justin Herbert, more on his pass yards. Quentin Johnston, more on his receiving TDs. Rashid Shaheed, more on his receiving yards. New user offer. Best of all, play your first $5 and get $150 in lineups if you win. Just use code HMA when you sign up. That's right. Prize Picks just switched up their offer, so there's no better time to join. Lock in and win that first lineup. That's code HMA at sign up to get $150 in bonus lineups if you win your first $5 plus lineup. A big loser for yesterday was the 49ers defense, man. The Chargers absolutely carved them all the way up. Yeah, I know you didn't expect us to drop a 49ers defense on you. This offense has continued to look strong. It looked really good against the Houston Texans. In fact, that game probably should have had the Chargers with 30 to 40-plus points in that game. Just a couple of miscues here and there, and that's why the Chargers only were in the 20s. Beating the Houston Texans. I think this offense is going to be elite. Mike McDaniel gets to focus just on building that offense that he wants to build, and that is going to be a very good thing. Lastly, it's the rest of the National Football League, man. I hate to keep doing this. I hate to keep harping on this, but this Los Angeles Chargers team is really good. I'm not going to sit here and say that it's championship or bust, because that does feel like it is a bit bold to say about a team that barely made the postseason last year, but this team is loaded from top to bottom. There is talent everywhere. This team is oozing talent offensively and defensively. Now, there's going to be some games where it looks better than others. There are going to be some injury issues that you're going to have to fight through. That is common occurrence in the National Football League. But from top to bottom, if this team's able to stay healthy, the sky is the freaking limit. Thank you guys so much for viewing today's video. I cannot wait to see you guys tomorrow. We'll have a preview out for the preseason game against the 49ers in the morning. Then come and join producer Tom and myself. We will be live a half hour before kickoff, hanging out, enjoying some beverages, and then just talking Chargers football. And we love to do that here on the show. Thank you guys so much for viewing today's video. Can't wait to see you next time. And as always, bolt the freak up.